You are about to learn how to stop giving your peace away and begin living from a steadier place inside yourself. This video strips away complicated language and focuses on simple steps you can use today to recover calm, clear thinking and real control over your emotions. You will hear short, practical routines that help you pause before you react, clear phrases you can say when someone crosses your line, and daily habits that rebuild confidence so you stop waiting for permission to feel whole. Right now, try this for 30 seconds. Notice how your breath moves in and out and feel your feet on the floor. That single quiet check is the same basic skill used throughout every chapter in this series. You will be shown a short breathing exercise to calm immediate stress, a 3-step way to decide whether a relationship needs distance, and a small journaling format that reveals which old habits are costing you energy. These are not ideas to admire, they are actions to practice. Expect straightforward guidance about making boundaries firm without drama, how to stop seeking approval and begin trusting your own decisions, and how to replace small daily losses with routines that increase clarity. Each section gives a clear action you can repeat tomorrow morning and tomorrow night. The focus is on doable changes you can keep doing even when life gets messy. You will also hear honest coaching about the hard moments when old patterns return and how to respond without shame. Practical examples show what to say when someone invades your time, how to handle a trigger in public, and how to build quiet self-trust in 5 minutes a day. Real change comes from repetition, and this material is built around short, repeatable moves, not motivational slogans. Stick with the full video to get a simple step-by-step plan you can start immediately and maintain for months. Small choices made every day add up to independence and steady confidence. If you want clear tools you can use the moment pressure rises and a plan that builds strength over time, this video gives exactly that. Chapter 1. Break emotional dependence and build inner strength every day. Break emotional dependence and build inner strength every day is the beginning of a completely new life. And for most people, this transformation does not happen in one moment, but over a long process of quiet changes, small choices, and steady growth that begins from within. Emotional dependence is when your mood, your peace, and even your sense of identity are shaped by someone else's behavior or approval. And this chapter is your invitation to step out of that cycle by developing the emotional muscle to stand on your own feet with self-trust, confidence, and inner stability. You are here because you want strength not just on the good days, but every day, because you want to feel grounded instead of shaken, because you want to value yourself without needing someone else to confirm you are enough. This is a journey that begins with awareness, continues through discipline, and grows into a deeper relationship with yourself that cannot be taken away by anyone's withdrawal, rejection, silence, or disappointment. The world becomes lighter when you no longer collapse under the weight of what others think, and your energy begins to return to you when you stop giving people the power to control how you feel inside. Imagine waking up in the morning and your first thought is not about another person, their opinion, their approval, or their reaction, but about how you want to show up for yourself today. That is emotional independence, and it may feel distant right now, but with daily effort and consistent practice, it becomes real. You build inner strength the same way you build physical strength, through repetition, through showing up, through choosing progress over comfort. Every day offers a new chance to separate who you are from what others expect you to be. Emotional detachment is not coldness or lack of love, it is balance and clarity. You detach to think clearly, to breathe freely, to stand strong, and to protect your well-being. When you no longer depend on someone else to feel valuable or secure, you regain a freedom that many people never experience in a lifetime. This chapter is written to guide you toward that freedom. Emotional dependence often begins quietly. You start caring deeply about someone, and slowly, without realizing it, your happiness begins to revolve around their mood, their texts, their tone, their attention. You wait for their validation, and when you do not receive it, you feel empty, anxious, or unworthy. This is not love, and it is not connection. It is dependency. Dependency drains your power and clouds your mind. It makes you act out of fear instead of choice. You apologize even when you are not wrong because you are afraid to lose someone. You shrink yourself to avoid conflict, because you are afraid to upset someone. You silence your needs because you believe theirs matter more. This pattern steals your voice, your identity, and your peace. You begin to forget yourself while trying to hold on to someone else. And this chapter is your step toward remembering who you are without the world's influence. True inner strength is built through self-acceptance and self-reliance. You do not grow stronger by clinging to people. You grow stronger by learning to stand with yourself even when the world is quiet. Strength means sitting with your feelings instead of running from them. Strength means choosing what is right for you, even if others do not agree. Strength means knowing that you can carry your pain, heal from it, and continue walking. You are capable of this growth even if part of you doubts it right now. Every habit you create, every boundary you set, every time you choose peace over approval, you grow. Emotional independence is built by daily habits, just like confidence, discipline, or physical health. You cannot change everything in one day, but you can change something every day. Start with presence. Pay attention to your thoughts throughout the day. Notice when your emotions shift because of someone else's words or silence. Notice when you crave approval or reassurance. This is not weakness. This is awareness. Awareness is power because you cannot change what you do not recognize. When you catch yourself depending on external validation, pause, breathe, feel your feet on the ground, and return to your own center. You gain control the moment you stop reacting and start reflecting. A calm mind is stronger than a reactive one, and every deep breath is a step toward emotional independence. You do not need to fight emotion, you only need to observe it. Ask yourself simple questions. What am I feeling right now? Why am I feeling it? Did the situation truly hurt me, or did my attachment to someone's approval create the pain? When you separate the event from the interpretation, you create space. Space brings clarity, and clarity makes you powerful. You begin to understand that someone's tone or opinion does not define your worth. Their approval does not determine your identity. Their absence does not erase your value. You learn to validate yourself internally through self-respect, self-compassion, and self-reflection. Strength is built inside, not earned from outside. You can deepen this practice through intentional behaviors. Spend time alone not to escape people, but to reconnect with yourself. Sit quietly without distractions and learn the sound of your own thoughts without interruption. When you stop filling every moment with noise and stimulation, you discover feelings and patterns you once ignored. Solitude teaches you who you are without influence. It may feel uncomfortable at first because dependency often hides behind constant interaction, but discomfort is part of detachment. Growth rarely feels easy in the beginning, but it becomes rewarding with time. Every minute you spend with yourself is like training your emotional muscles to rely less on external confirmation. Emotional independence also grows when you learn to fulfill your own needs. Instead of waiting for someone to comfort you, encourage you, or validate you, practice doing these things internally. Give yourself kind words when you feel discouraged. Remind yourself of your strengths when insecurity appears. Celebrate small wins instead of waiting for someone to acknowledge them. You were not born to be carried through life, you were born to walk. You are capable of self-soothing and self-encouragement, even if you have relied on others for years. You retrain the mind by repetition and consistency. Each time you encourage yourself instead of seeking it from someone else, you strengthen your emotional foundation. A powerful way to break dependency is through self-responsibility. Instead of blaming others for your emotions or relying on them to make you feel better, take ownership of your inner world. You cannot control what people say or do, but you can control how you respond. Emotional power is the ability to remain grounded even when the world shakes. When someone disappoints you, you can choose strength instead of collapse. When someone pulls away, you can choose calm instead of panic. When someone does not meet your expectations, you can choose acceptance instead of resentment. Responsibility makes you resilient. You learn that your peace is your responsibility, not anyone else's job. That realization alone can change the direction of your life. Your mindset will play a major role in this transformation. If you believe you need another person to be whole, you will remain dependent. If you believe you can grow, heal, and thrive, even when alone, you will become strong. Thoughts shape your emotional identity, and you can train your thoughts through daily internal conversation. Remind yourself that you are capable enough, strong enough, smart enough, independent enough. The more you feed your mind with self-trust, the less you will crave external approval. Words you speak to yourself become belief. Belief becomes behavior. Behavior becomes identity. Identity becomes your reality. Emotional independence is built when you stop chasing what hurts you. Sometimes emotional dependence makes you hold on to people who drain you simply because you fear losing them. You may stay in unhealthy relationships, friendships, or dynamics because the attachment feels stronger than your boundaries. You may forgive repeated disrespect because you fear being alone. You may sacrifice your needs just to be loved in return. This is not strength. Strength is walking away when something damages your mental peace. Strength is choosing yourself even when your emotions want something else. Strength is releasing what breaks you, even when the heart holds on. Independence means you are no longer willing to shrink for approval. There will be days when detachment feels painful because dependence creates habits, and the mind will try to return to old patterns. You might feel the urge to check your phone, constantly waiting for someone who stopped responding. You might replay conversations in your mind, searching for what you did wrong. You might feel empty without their presence or attention. These moments are not failure, they are training. Every time you resist the urge to chase, you grow. Every time you choose patience over panic, you grow. Every time you sit with discomfort instead of running from it, you grow. Growth is silent but powerful, and each small moment of resistance builds emotional strength that accumulates over time. You can reinforce resilience through daily practices. Start your day with self-grounding instead of external distraction. Spend a few quiet minutes acknowledging your intentions, desires, and emotional state. Move your body, eat well, and sleep deeply, because physical strength supports emotional strength. Engage in meaningful activities that grow your confidence, learning new skills, managing finances, reading knowledge-building routines that make you feel capable. The more capable you feel independently, the less you will need someone else to sustain your. Chapter 2. Release past attachments and choose peace over reaction. Release past attachments and choose peace over reaction means stepping out of old emotional patterns that pull you backward and learning to respond from a calm and clear mind instead of reacting from old wounds. Many people live their life carrying memories that still feel heavy, even though they belong to years behind them. They think about what they lost, who walked away, what did not work, and mistakes they wish they could change. These thoughts grip the heart and keep it stuck in yesterday. You cannot build a peaceful future while holding the weight of old pain. So this chapter guides you through the process of letting go so you can move forward with strength and clarity. Letting go is not forgetting or pretending something never happened. It is choosing not to let the past control your mood or identity anymore. You allow the memory to exist, but you no longer give it power to shape how you think, how you behave, or how you love. Many people do not realize how much energy they lose by holding on to painful stories. They replay conversations, reimagine endings, and relive hurt like it is still happening now. The heart remains tied to a moment that cannot be changed. Healing begins when you accept that the past is already complete and your power exists only in how you respond today. Choosing peace over reaction means you no longer rush to defend yourself, argue endlessly, or prove your worth when triggered. Instead, you slow down, breathe, and give yourself the gift of space. When you choose space instead of immediate reaction, your mind stays steady and your decisions become wiser. There will be moments when someone's words feel sharp or when a situation reminds you of old pain. Instead of snapping out of habit, you learn to observe the feeling without letting it lead you. Peace grows when you choose clarity instead of chaos. Past attachments often come from people or experiences that shaped who you once were. You may feel connected to the memory of a person because they gave you comfort at one time. You may hold on to a disappointment because it changed the direction of your life. You may hold anger because you felt wronged and never received closure. These emotions create invisible strings that pull you back. You cannot walk freely while tied to yesterday. The goal is not to erase what happened, but to detach from the emotional hold it has on you. Start by acknowledging what you still cling to. Be honest with yourself about which memories still hurt, which names still shake your heart, and which stories still bring anger, sadness, or confusion. Awareness is the doorway to emotional release. You cannot release what you refuse to face. When you recognize what still lives inside you, you gain the opportunity to heal it. Hold the memory in your mind without judgment. Breathe through it instead of pushing it away. Healing does not happen through suppression, it happens through acceptance. Once you see your attachments clearly, ask yourself a simple question. Why am I still holding this? You may realize you hold on because letting go feels like losing a part of you may fear that release means the pain never mattered or that the love was meaningless. In truth, releasing attachment honors the experience instead of being imprisoned by it. You carry the lesson forward while leaving the emotional weight behind. Nothing valuable is lost through release. What disappears is the pain, not the growth. Choosing peace over reaction requires emotional discipline. You train your mind to pause before responding. You give your body time to settle, so you do not speak from anger or insecurity. Practice feeling instead of reacting. When disappointment rises, sit with it. When anxiety appears, breathe through it. When old memories surface, remind yourself that you are not that person anymore. The version of you who was hurt lived in a different time with a different understanding. You now move from strength rather than pain. Often peace arrives only after you stop trying to control outcomes you cannot change. Some people will never apologize. Some relationships will not return. Some moments in life are closed chapters. Fighting what cannot be changed creates constant. You reclaim your power when you accept the finality of certain endings. Acceptance does not mean agreement. It means acknowledging reality without letting it break your spirit. You are allowed to move forward even if the past remains imperfect. Release also means removing emotional expectations from others. When you expect someone to heal you, validate you, or fix what hurt you, you give them control over your peace. They may never change the way you hope. They may never understand your pain. You choose freedom when you stop waiting for others to undo what happened and instead take responsibility for your own healing. Closure does not always come from another person. It often comes from deciding that you deserve peace more than you need answers. Peace over reaction means you value emotional stability more than being right, winning the argument, or proving a point. It means you stop engaging in conflicts that drain your energy. You choose silence when words would only deepen the hurt. You walk away instead of fighting to be understood. Your calm mind becomes your strength. You no longer respond to provoke or defend. You respond to protect your peace. Emotional maturity is not loud. It is measured, steady, and thoughtful. One practical way to release attachment is to rewrite the meaning of your past instead of letting it define you. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" shift to, "What did this teach me?" Instead of thinking, "I lost something," think, "I gained strength through this experience." Pain becomes easier to release when you transform it into growth. You cannot change the event, but you can change the story you tell about it. You choose a story that strengthens you, not one that keeps you weak. Peace grows when you practice emotional neutrality. Neutrality means you notice emotions without being carried away by them. You feel disappointment, but do not become it. You observe anger, but do not act through it. You experience sadness without letting it control your day. Emotions are temporary signals, not commands. You acknowledge them, then release them like waves passing through the mind. A calm state is built through this practice, repeated over time. To maintain peace, you must create space for things that nourish you. Past pain takes up space in the mind. When you release it, you must fill the space with healthier habits. Read more often, reflect on your growth. Spend time with people who bring calm, not chaos. Build routines that strengthen your confidence. Peace is not passive, it is built through action. You train your mind to find calm through conscious choices rather than emotional reflex. Healing also requires forgiveness. And forgiveness is not about excusing what happened. It is freeing yourself from the burden of holding resentment. You forgive so your heart can rest. You forgive because carrying anger harms you more than the person who caused it. Forgiveness is self-care. It is an act of self-respect. You choose peace, not because the past was fair, but because you deserve to breathe without the weight of old pain. Every time you choose peace over reaction, you grow stronger. You learn to walk away from conflict instead of feeding it. You learn to respond with clarity instead of impulse. You learn to let the moment pass instead of holding it as a wound. You learn that silence can be power. You learn that not every situation needs a reaction. You learn that peace is a daily decision, not a destination. With each choice, you break the old emotional ties that once held you in place. Soon you begin to notice change. Memories that once triggered you now feel distant. Words that once hurt you no longer control you. People who try to provoke you fail to shake your balance. You stop revisiting old chapters because the future finally feels more important. You breathe deeper. You sleep better. You feel lighter. This is what release creates. You are no longer attached to what ended. You are no longer held captive by what hurt. You become free inside your own mind. Release past attachments and choose peace over reaction means honoring your future more than your history. You move forward with steadiness rooted in acceptance instead of regret. You build a new emotional path based on self-respect, awareness, and calm response. Not because the past disappears, but because you refuse to let it lead you. Peace becomes your standard, not your wish. Your heart stops fighting and begins simply living. This chapter is the next step in your growth. You are capable of letting go. You are capable of choosing peace even when triggered. You are capable of responding with maturity instead of reaction. You do not need to carry old stories like chains around your mind. You are allowed to outgrow your past. You are allowed to release what no longer belongs to you. You are allowed to move forward without bitterness or resentment. Your freedom begins when you decide that peace matters more than reaction and that your future deserves more attention than yesterday ever will. Chapter 3. Set firm boundaries and protect your mental space daily. Set firm boundaries and protect your mental space daily means choosing yourself with clarity and confidence, even when others do not understand or agree. Many people carry stress, not because life is difficult, but because they allow too much access to their time, energy, and emotional peace. When you lack boundaries, people take more than you can comfortably give, and you slowly begin to feel drained, resentful, or overwhelmed. This chapter is about building the strength to say no when you need to, and learning that protecting your inner world is not selfish but necessary for growth and stability. A boundary is not a wall. It is a line that defines what is acceptable and what is not. It is the moment you decide how you wish to be treated, spoken to, and involved in situations. If you do not set this line clearly, others will write that line for you. Many struggle with boundaries because they fear conflict, disappointment, or the possibility of losing certain relationships. They say yes when they are exhausted. They listen to conversations that damage their mood. They keep responding to people who disrespect them, and they accept treatment that does not reflect their worth. This leads to emotional burnout and feeling powerless in your own life. Boundaries return control to your hands. When you express what you allow and what you will not tolerate, you reclaim ownership of your mental space. You no longer bend to please others at the expense of your well-being. You no longer settle for behaviors that leave you anxious or drained. You begin to act from self-respect instead of fear. Setting boundaries teaches others how to interact with you, but more importantly, it teaches you how to show up for yourself. Your mental space is the core of your emotional health. It is the place where thoughts gather and decisions form. If negativity, criticism, or constant demands fill that space, you cannot think clearly. You cannot rest. You cannot grow. Protecting your mental space means choosing who you allow near you and for how long. It means filtering conversations, choosing silence when needed, and stepping back from interactions that leave you feeling heavy. You become more selective, not because you dislike people, but because you finally understand the value of inner peace. One powerful boundary is saying no without apology. When you say no, you affirm that your time and energy matter. You refuse to overstretch yourself simply to be seen as kind or cooperative. A person who values you will respect your no. A person who benefits from your lack of boundaries may not. That reaction tells you everything. You are not responsible for making everyone comfortable. You are responsible for protecting the parts of you that hold your peace, strength, and clarity. Another boundary is limiting access to your emotional space. Not everyone deserves to know your personal struggles, your plans, or your vulnerabilities. Some only listen to respond, judge, or use information against you. Sharing less can be an act of strength. Speak with intention, share with people who uplift and understand you, and preserve parts of your heart for yourself. Silence is a boundary. Distance is a boundary. Selective communication is a boundary. Mental protection also involves creating spaces free from negativity. That may mean reducing contact with individuals who complain, constantly argue unnecessarily, or bring chaos wherever they go. It may also include limiting exposure to environments that trigger anxiety or insecurity. You have the right to remove yourself from conversations that disrespect your values. You are allowed to walk away from people who drain your energy, even if you once felt close to them. Growth requires healthier environments. Boundaries require consistency. If you set a line but do not enforce it, others will treat it as optional. When someone crosses your line, address it calmly and clearly. You do not need anger or explanations. You only need firmness. A boundary without follow-through is just a suggestion. Your strength becomes visible when you uphold what you have declared, even if it is uncomfortable. Discomfort is temporary. Peace is lasting. Protecting your mental space also includes time boundaries. You decide how much energy you give to work, social interactions, digital spaces, and responsibilities. Without control, time slips away and you feel overwhelmed. Plan moments of stillness, reflection, and rest. Guard them the same way you would guard an important appointment. Productivity increases when your mind is not constantly rushed or distracted. Your mental energy is a resource. Use it wisely. Emotional boundaries prevent others from dictating how you feel. You can care about people without absorbing their issues. You can listen without carrying their burdens. You can support without losing yourself in the process. The moment you take responsibility for someone else's emotional state, you risk losing clarity in your own. Compassion does not mean self-neglect. You can offer care with balance and recognize when something is too heavy to hold. Boundaries with yourself are equally important. Sometimes the biggest drain does not come from others, but from your own habits. If you allow negative self-talk, constant overthinking, or mental replay of painful events, you weaken your inner peace. You must learn to stop thoughts that harm your stability. Replace self-criticism with calm reasoning. Replace worry with grounded action. Replace dwelling with forward movement. You cannot protect your mental space while attacking yourself internally. Speaking up is a necessary part of boundary work. When someone disrespects you, choosing silence to avoid discomfort keeps the cycle alive. Calmly expressing how a behavior affects you demonstrates self-respect. Your words do not need to be aggressive, only clear. If a person responds defensively or dismissively, you learn how to adjust their access to your life. People who value your presence will meet you with understanding. Those who only value your compliance may reject your boundaries, but you must hold firm. A healthy boundary also involves recognizing that you are not available at all times. Constant availability leads to emotional fatigue. You do not have to reply to messages, instantly attend every event, or solve every problem presented to you. Pause before responding. Consider your capacity before committing. Value your energy before offering it. That pause is power. It gives you time to think, choose, and act with clarity rather than urgency. With strong boundaries, you begin to notice changes within yourself. Stress decreases because you are no longer pulled in every direction. Confidence rises because you stand up for your needs. Your relationships improve because they become based on mutual respect rather than silent sacrifice. You develop emotional breathing space, which allows you to think deeply, act consciously, and feel more grounded throughout your day. You also become more mindful of who belongs in your life. Some relationships flourish when boundaries are placed because clarity reduces misunderstanding. Others fall away, and though the loss may feel uncomfortable, it creates room for more stable and respectful connections. Boundaries reveal who is capable of standing beside you without taking advantage of your kindness. They also reveal who only stayed because they benefited from your lack of limits. It is important to remember that boundaries are not built once. They are reinforced daily through choices, words, and actions. Each time you honor your needs, you strengthen your inner structure. Each time you defend your peace, you build emotional resilience. You decide what enters your mind and what is kept out. No one else should have the authority to control your mental world. The more you practice boundary setting, the lighter your life begins to feel. You gain clarity about what deserves your attention and what must be released. You speak with more confidence. You rest without guilt. You stop carrying burdens that were never yours. Your days become quieter inside. You become more intentional with your energy. Your connection to yourself deepens. Set firm boundaries and protect your mental space daily is an ongoing practice of self-respect. It means choosing peace over people, pleasing clarity over confusion, and intention over obligation. You are allowed to prioritize your well-being. You are allowed to guard your mind like something valuable. You are allowed to expect respect and respond when you do not receive it. This chapter is your turning point into a life where you no longer give access to those who misuse it, and where you stand firmly within your own emotional strength. Chapter 4. Observe emotions calmly and respond with discipline, not impulse. Observe emotions calmly and respond with discipline, not impulse, is an essential step in taking control of your inner world and shaping your life with intention instead of reaction. Many people allow emotions to drive their decisions without realizing how quickly an unfiltered feeling can damage relationships, opportunities, and personal growth. A moment of anger can lead to words that cannot be taken back. Fear can make you run from goals that could have changed your life. Impulse creates regret, while discipline creates clarity. This chapter guides you to understand your emotions without letting them rule your choices, so you can act with strength instead of instinct. Emotions appear like waves moving in intensity and speed. They rise, they peak, and they fall. When you react during the wave, you respond from a temporary state rather than wisdom. But when you watch the wave instead of riding it, you recognize that feelings change while your decisions stay. A calm observer understands this difference. You may feel frustration, hurt, jealousy, sadness, irritation, or excitement. But the goal is to notice the emotion without becoming the emotion. You are the thinker behind the thought, not the feeling itself. Once you realize this, you begin gaining power over moments that once controlled you. To observe emotions calmly, you must first slow down enough to notice what is happening inside you. Many people react automatically without recognizing the emotion driving them. They snap at someone because stress is building. They withdraw because insecurity whispers. They argue because pride feels threatened. Automatic reactions happen when the mind moves faster than awareness. Look inward. Notice the feeling without assigning meaning. Tell yourself, I feel anger, or I feel anxious, instead of I am angry, or I am anxious. You separate identity from emotion. That distance matters more than most people know. Calm observation begins with acceptance rather than resistance. If you deny your emotions, you push them deeper where they build pressure. If you judge your emotions, you create shame around natural human responses. Acceptance means recognizing how you feel without attacking yourself for it. You give the emotion space to exist, then guide it with discipline. A calm internal tone sounds like this feeling is here, and I will sit with it instead of this feeling means I must act. Discipline grows from patience. You allow the emotion to pass through instead of acting on it instantly. Breathing is one of the most powerful tools for emotional control. When you slow your breath, you slow your reaction. Take a long inhale and release it steadily. Feel your body settle. Your mind becomes clearer when the body is calm. A single pause can save you from hours of regret. That pause is not weakness. It is strength. It is the moment you choose who you want to be instead of letting impulse choose for you. With practice, the pause becomes natural, and discipline becomes instinct. Responding with discipline does not mean suppressing emotions. It means guiding them with thought. If something upsets you, instead of immediately reacting, ask yourself, what result do I want from this situation? When you know the desired outcome, your response becomes purposeful instead of emotional. If you want peace, you respond differently than if you want to win. If the goal is understanding, you ask questions instead of making accusations. If the goal is dignity, you speak less, not more. Your response becomes a tool, not an explosion. Observing emotions calmly allows you to understand their purpose. Every emotion carries information. Anger may signal crossed boundaries. Sadness may show unmet needs. Anxiety may reflect uncertainty or lack of preparation. Jealousy may reveal desire for something you have not pursued. Instead of reacting, explore the message. Ask, what is this feeling trying to show me? Awareness leads to wisdom. Wisdom leads to better decisions. You use emotion as guidance, not as fuel for impulsive behavior. Self-control strengthens each time you delay reaction. If you normally respond immediately, try waiting before speaking. If you want to send a message while upset, write it but do not send it. Return later with a steady mind. The difference between reaction and response can change everything. You begin to see that not every situation needs your answer right now. Not every comment requires your pushback. Not every disagreement deserves your energy. You save your strength for what matters, instead of spreading it thin through impulsive responses. Discipline also means choosing words carefully. Words carry weight, and once spoken they shape perception. Instead of responding emotionally, choose a tone that matches your intention. Speak slowly. Use fewer words. Say only what you will not regret. Later, calm communication reflects inner maturity. When you can stay steady while emotions stir, you earn respect from yourself first. Self-respect is the foundation of emotional strength. Calm observation also applies to internal triggers. Some reactions come not from the present moment, but from old wounds and memories that still live inside you. A small comment may feel like a threat because something similar hurt you years ago. Discipline helps you separate the current situation from the old experience. You tell yourself, I am safe, and this moment is new. You respond to what is happening now, not what happened then. This breaks emotional patterns that once dictated your reactions. His own powerful practice is to name your emotional triggers. If criticism makes you defensive, acknowledge it. If silence makes you anxious, explore why. When you understand your triggers, you can prepare for them. You approach them with awareness instead of confusion. You remind yourself that you do not need to react just because emotion appears. You observe, you evaluate, you choose. Control is born from understanding, not avoidance. The more you practice calm, emotional observation, the more grounded you become. Stress decreases because you no longer let every feeling pull you. Like a current, relationships improve because you listen instead of attack. Productivity increases because your mind stays focused instead of scattered by mood shifts. Even difficult situations feel more manageable because you respond with clarity instead of chaos. You begin to trust yourself. You know you will handle moments with strength and intention. There will be times when emotion feels stronger than discipline. You may feel overwhelmed, impatient, or tempted to react. In those moments, practice stillness. Sit quietly. Feel the emotion move through your body. It may peak, but it will soften. No emotion lasts forever. When it passes, clarity emerges. You respond from that clarity, not from the peak. This is emotional mastery. Not control through force, but stability through awareness. Life becomes calmer when response replaces reaction. You stop saying things you regret. You stop making decisions out of anger, fear, or insecurity. You no longer let small moments destroy your peace. You learn to walk away when needed. You speak only when your words hold purpose. You hold power over yourself. This is discipline, not suppression. You align action with intention. You think before you move, observe emotions calmly, and respond with discipline. Not impulse is a life skill that transforms your inner and outer world. It brings balance to the emotions that once ruled you. It gives you space to think before deciding. It allows you to stay steady even when life becomes unpredictable. Calmness is not the absence of emotion, but control over how emotion shapes your response. Discipline is not harshness, but guidance that protects you from unnecessary conflict and regret. You are capable of mastering your emotional responses. You can sit with discomfort without letting it spill into your words. You can acknowledge hurt without attacking others. You can feel frustration without losing control. You can experience emotion fully and still choose peace, clarity, and dignity in your actions. Each calm response builds strength in you. Each disciplined decision reinforces stability. Each moment of awareness shapes a new pattern inside your mind. This chapter is your commitment to that practice. You observe, you pause, you breathe, you think. Then you respond with the person you want to become, not the emotion that tried to lead. You grow stronger each time you choose discipline over impulse, and the more you repeat this, the easier it becomes. Your emotions will no longer steer you blindly. You will be present, awake, and deliberate. This is how you gain control of your life from the inside out. Chapter 5. Detach from validation and trust your own judgment fully. Detach from validation and trust your own judgment fully means stepping into a life where your decisions come from reason and self-understanding rather than outside approval. Many people develop the habit of seeking reassurance before making choices or rely on others to confirm their worth. They ask if they are doing the right thing, if they are enough, if they should take a step forward. When approval becomes the foundation of confidence, your identity weakens. You adjust yourself to fit expectations and disconnect from your true values. This chapter guides you into a state where you rely on inner clarity instead of needing someone else to validate your thoughts, feelings, and direction. Validation feels comforting because it creates a sense of belonging and acceptance, but it becomes harmful when it becomes necessary for confidence. You start editing your personality to be liked. You change your choices to avoid judgment. You feel afraid to act without permission. You wait for praise to feel proud of yourself. This dependency quietly holds you back from potential because you are constantly trying to please instead of growing. Self-trust thrives when you break away from this pattern. The voice inside you deserves more authority than opinions around you. Trusting your judgment starts with knowing yourself. When you understand your values, strengths, and goals, you stop depending on others to tell you what is right for you. Spend time reflecting on what matters to you rather than what others expect. Ask yourself what brings peace, what feels authentic, what aligns with the person you want to become. The more you listen to your own reasoning, the clearer your decisions feel. Your inner voice sharpens through attention. If you always look outward, you will never hear it. You may have been conditioned to believe that others know better or that your decisions need external confirmation. This belief usually comes from early experiences where approval determines safety or acceptance. But adulthood requires self-reliance. You guide your own life. Now, you are the one living with the outcomes of decisions, so it makes sense to trust your thinking over someone else's expectations. Advice can be useful, but it should influence you, not control you. You gather information but choose from your own understanding. Detaching from validation also means becoming comfortable with disagreement. Not everyone will approve of your choices or beliefs, and that is normal. If you try to satisfy every voice, you betray your own. Growth demands courage to stand alone when necessary. You may lose approval, but you gain self-respect. When you trust yourself, even criticism loses its power. You take feedback thoughtfully, but you do not let it replace your judgment. You evaluate instead of absorbing. You think instead of conforming, make decisions based on reasoning rather than on how people might react. When choosing a path, ask what decision aligns with my growth, instead of will others like this. When speaking your truth, ask, is this honest and necessary, instead of will this upset someone. Every time you answer from inner clarity, you strengthen trust in yourself. Confidence is not built through praise. It is built through experience and reflection. You learn from outcomes, you adjust, you grow. You build proof that you can navigate life yourself. One practical exercise is to delay seeking opinions. Before asking someone what you should do, write down your own thoughts. List your reasons and possible outcomes. Make your own judgment first. Then if you choose, share with someone only for perspective, not validation. When you present your reasoning confidently, you rely less on approval. Over time you realize you were capable all along. You did not need permission to think. You only needed practice to trust that thinking. Detach from validation also involves regulating emotional reactions to praise. People often feel elevated when praised and crushed when ignored. This emotional seesaw forms addiction to approval. When someone compliments you, accept it gracefully, but do not build identity around it. When praise is absent, do not doubt your worth. Consistency in self-value is freedom. You stay centered regardless of external response. You move forward calmly, rather than worrying about recognition. Silence your internal critic by replacing doubt with rational reflection. Self-doubt often comes from imagined judgment rather than actual evidence. When the mind says you might fail, respond with what evidence supports that. When the thought says others will judge you, ask, does their opinion define the outcome of my life? Logic weakens insecurity. Discipline strengthens belief. You replace fear with clarity. You build decisions based on understanding instead of emotion. Independent judgment improves when you act without delaying for reassurance. If you always wait for someone to confirm your choice, you never develop decision-making strength. Take small steps alone. Make everyday decisions confidently, like how to use your time, what projects to pursue, what habits to build. Small independent choices prepare you for larger ones. The more you practice autonomy, the more natural it becomes. You build inner leadership. You must also reduce the habit of announcing every move to others. Some individuals share goals or plans hoping for encouragement. However, constant disclosure invites judgment that can derail progress. Protect your goals until they are stronger. Work quietly. Let results speak instead of seeking approval at every stage. You develop self-trust when your progress comes from self-validation rather than applause. You grow steadily without being influenced by reactions. Detach from validation by choosing authenticity even when it feels vulnerable. Speak with honesty. Behave in alignment with your beliefs. Do not adjust to impress. Authenticity might not please everyone, but it attracts truth and respect. You feel lighter when you stop performing. You connect more deeply with yourself when you act without forcing acceptance. People who value your authentic self stay. Those who do not fall away. Both outcomes protect your growth. Your judgment becomes sharper through reflection. At the end of each day, ask yourself, what decisions did I make independently, and how did they turn out? If the outcome was positive, you reinforce trust. If it was not, you learn without shame. Every decision provides information, not proof of failure. You build a track record of reasoning instead of results. Self-trust deepens when you learn without self-punishment. Detach from validation and trust your own judgment fully means you no longer fear walking a path others do not understand. You do not abandon your goals because someone doubts them. You do not shrink your ideas because people remain silent. Approval is pleasant, but not required. You do not need permission to evolve. You do not need applause to continue. You do not need agreement to believe in yourself. When you trust your judgment, life becomes more peaceful. Decisions feel lighter because they come from your values, not social pressure. You stop overthinking responses and start acting with confidence. You no longer chase acceptance. You no longer panic over opinions. You no longer exhaust yourself trying to be enough for everyone. You realize that being enough for yourself is the foundation. Everything else is optional. Your worth is internal. It does not fluctuate with praise or criticism. It does not depend on attention. It does not require validation. You stand firm in who you are because you built your identity from the inside instead of outsourcing it. This chapter shapes a person who can walk forward without needing a hand to hold, someone who can think with clarity and act with purpose, someone who knows they can rely on themselves. Trust yourself more with every decision. Rely on your awareness more with every challenge. Listen to your reasoning more with every turning point. The world will always have opinions. Voices will always surround you. Approval will come and go. But your inner judgment remains with you every day. Strength lives there, growth lives there. Detach from validation and trust your own judgment fully is not just a concept, but a daily practice of self-belief. You build it through choices, you reinforce it through discipline, you live it through authenticity. You no longer hand others the authority to decide your worth or direction. You claim that authority back. You step into your independence. You move with quiet certainty that comes from knowing you are enough, without anyone having to say it. Chapter 6. Choose self-respect first and walk away from chaos. Choose self-respect first and walk away from chaos means valuing your peace more than familiarity, drama, or attachment. Many people stay in situations that drain them because leaving feels difficult or uncertain. They tolerate disrespect to avoid conflict. They remain in relationships that bring more pain than comfort. They stay silent when boundaries are crossed because speaking up feels uncomfortable. This chapter empowers you to place your dignity above chaos and choose a life where you no longer fight for a seat, where you are not valued. Self-respect is not pride. It is awareness of your worth and the willingness to protect it. Chaos grows where self-respect is ignored. When you accept behavior that hurts you, you teach others how to treat you. If you continue giving chances without change, you send the message that your peace is negotiable. Respect begins with the decisions you make and the treatment you tolerate. You do not have to accept emotional instability or unpredictable behaviors. You do not have to remain where you are disrespected or dismissed. Walking away is a declaration that your well-being matters. Self-respect means choosing environments where you can think clearly and feel safe. If someone constantly creates conflict or drains your emotional energy, you have the right to step away. You do not need to justify your decision to those who do not feel what you feel. Sometimes you walk away, not because you do not care, but because the situation no longer supports your growth. Chaos keeps you stuck. Peace moves you forward. Walking away can look different for everyone. It might mean reducing contact. It might mean ending a relationship. It might mean deciding not to respond to provocation. It might mean spending less time in places that affect your mindset. You remove yourself not with anger but with clarity. You release what disrupts your balance so you can focus on what sustains you. Choosing self-respect means speaking up when you feel unheard. If someone continually disregards your needs or feelings, your voice becomes essential. You express yourself calmly without shrinking. You state how you expect to be treated without apology. If your presence is taken for granted, you no longer overextend yourself to be noticed. You give effort where effort is returned. You offer loyalty where loyalty lives. You do not invest in chaos expecting peace in return. Sometimes chaos is internal, the result of overthinking, stress, or self-criticism. Choosing self-respect means caring for your inner environment as well. You silence thoughts that attack your worth. You reduce habits that exhaust your mind. You slow down instead of pushing through every demand. Self-respect includes rest, reflection, and intentional living. You treat your own heart with the same protection you would offer someone you deeply love. Many people fear walking away because they do not know what stands on the other side, but staying in turmoil steals time, energy, and confidence, leaving open space for better. When you walk away from chaos, you create space for stability. When you choose yourself, you make room for people who value you. Peace is never found while clinging to what breaks you. Strength develops when you release what is not meant for your future. You do not need to fight to be respected. You do not need to prove your worth through struggle. If someone cannot appreciate your presence without conflict, your distance will speak louder than words. Silence can be the most powerful statement. Walking away does not make you weak. It shows you have discipline over your emotions and clarity about what you deserve. Chaos often appears attractive because it brings intensity, but intensity is not the same as connection. True connection feels steady and safe. You do not have to guess whether you matter. Self-respect guides you toward environments where you can relax. Instead of constantly defending your place, you choose calm interactions over dramatic cycles. You choose consistency over confusion. You choose people who respect boundaries over those who challenge them. Self-respect means knowing when enough is enough, when conversations repeat without change, when apologies hold no meaning, when effort is one-sided, when your peace disappears. You make a choice that favors your future. You step toward calm. You make decisions that align with your well-being. Walking away may hurt temporarily, but staying in chaos hurts continuously. A good way to measure respect is to observe how you feel after interactions. If you leave feeling smaller, exhausted, or emotionally unstable, something needs to change. If your presence is valued, you will feel seen, heard, and supported. You deserve environments where your worth does not depend on how much you endure. You deserve relationships where your voice matters naturally, not only when you fight for it. Self-respect also means not chasing what is leaving, not begging for attention, not pleading to be chosen. You allow natural distance to reveal what is real. Those who appreciate you will stay without force. Those who do not were never meant to hold your heart. You give your energy to connections rooted in care, not chaos. Walking away becomes easier when you trust that peace is possible. You do not need to remain loyal to pain. You do not need to stay where love feels like survival. You do not need to prove your worth to those who refuse to see it. Your departure becomes your boundary. Your distance becomes your declaration. Your silence becomes your strength. Choosing self-respect first means you build a life with intentionality. You surround yourself with calm voices, steady minds, and balanced relationships. You align with people who uplift rather than drain. You prioritize your emotional health above temporary attachment. You grow into someone who does not fear walking alone, because peace within is better than chaos beside you. As you practice this daily, you begin to notice your confidence rising. You stop explaining your decisions excessively. You stop trying to fix unstable situations. You stop sacrificing comfort for acceptance. You start valuing your own opinion. You start trusting your voice. You start honoring your limits. You begin to feel grounded because your choices reflect your worth. Chaos cannot survive where respect is present. You choose conversations that build instead of break. You respond thoughtfully instead of reacting defensively. You protect your boundaries without guilt. You step away from drama before it consumes you. Peace becomes your standard, not your exception. Your life changes when you decide that self-respect is non-negotiable. You gain emotional strength. You attract healthier connections. You create more room for clarity and growth. You feel lighter as you detach from what once overwhelmed you. You move with purpose instead of chaos. Choose self-respect first, and walk away from chaos is a daily commitment. It is a decision made in small moments, when you refuse to argue unnecessarily, when you end cycles that lead nowhere, when you leave environments that disturb your peace, when you stop explaining your worth. Each decision shapes a stronger, more grounded version of you. You deserve to live in peace. You deserve relationships that feel balanced and respectful. You deserve an inner life free from tension and emotional storms. This chapter reminds you that self-respect is your responsibility. Your peace is your priority. When chaos calls you, do not answer. You walk forward with steady steps, choosing yourself every time. Chapter 7. Redirect focus inward and grow through quiet self-awareness. Redirect focus inward and grow through quiet self-awareness means turning your attention from external distractions toward the inner space where your thoughts, actions, and patterns originate. Growth does not always come from loud change or drastic movement. Often it begins when you sit with yourself without running from silence. Many people look outward for guidance, validation, or direction, and rarely pause long enough to understand their own minds. They fill time with noise to avoid facing what lives inside them. This chapter invites you to slow down, observe your inner world, and build growth through steady reflection instead of constant reaction. When you look inward, you begin to notice how you think, how you respond, and how your habits shape your life. Self-awareness is the foundation of transformation, because you cannot change what you do not see. Many struggle not because life lacks opportunity, but because they repeat patterns unconsciously. They react the same way to stress, make decisions from old fear, and move through life without noticing the link between thoughts and outcomes. Awareness brings that link into light. You start recognizing why you feel triggered, what thoughts limit you, and which habits strengthen you. Silence is essential for this process. In quiet moments, the mind reveals what it hides under distraction. You may feel uncomfortable because silence removes excuses and shows you who you truly are. But this discomfort is where growth begins. Instead of escaping from your thoughts, listen to them. Notice which feelings arise when the world becomes still. Do you feel restless, heavy, peaceful, or uncertain? Each sensation teaches you something about your emotional landscape. Awareness does not require judgment, only presence. Redirecting focus inward means asking deep questions instead of seeking quick answers. What am I avoiding? What belief keeps me stuck? What behavior brings me closer to the person I want to become? What emotionally drains me and what nourishes me? The more honest you are, the more transformation becomes possible. Many answers you search for externally already exist within you. They simply need space to surface. Growth through self-awareness involves observing habits with clarity. Notice how your mind reacts under stress, whether you withdraw, attack, or shut down. Notice how you treat yourself when you make mistakes, whether you respond with compassion or criticism. Notice where your energy goes throughout a day and whether it aligns with your priorities. Awareness makes unconscious behaviors conscious. Once conscious, you can reshape them with intention. Looking inward also requires emotional patience. Not everything will be pleasant to see. You may uncover insecurities you have avoided or patterns learned in childhood that influence you today. Instead of rejecting these discoveries, sit with them gently. Growth comes through understanding, not suppression. When you meet yourself with honesty, you create space for change. You stop living on automatic response and begin choosing how to think and act. Self-awareness encourages you to measure your life from the inside rather than comparing yourself with others. Comparison drains focus and creates dissatisfaction. When you redirect attention inward, you stop competing for external standards. You define success through your own progress. You shape your path through personal values instead of social expectation. Comparison fades when presence grows. Quiet reflection is a daily practice, not a one-time realization. Spend time with yourself each day. Even a few minutes of stillness can shift your perspective. Sit without input from screens, conversation, or noise. Pay attention to your breath, your heartbeat, your thoughts as they rise and fall. Observe your reactions without trying to control them. Gentle observation builds emotional strength. You learn that thoughts are not commands but experiences passing through awareness. Growth becomes steady when you stop rushing. Many chase improvement like a race, believing faster means better. But self-awareness develops slowly through consistent introspection. You learn your emotional triggers so you can disarm them. You recognize negative thought loops so you can break them. You see strengths you overlooked because you never paused long enough to witness them. You become someone who knows themselves rather than someone who acts from habit. Directing focus inward also means noticing how your body communicates. Physical tension often reveals emotional strain. Your chest tightens when anxious, shoulders rise when stressed, stomach clenches when afraid. Instead of ignoring these signals, pay attention. Ask what thought or memory triggered this sensation. When you connect the body to the mind, you gain deeper understanding of your internal experience. Awareness grows through observation of both emotion and sensation. You become more grounded when you stop chasing external stimulation. Many seek constant noise because silence feels unfamiliar. But when you allow quiet moments, you discover peace that does not rely on activity. You learn to enjoy your own company. You find clarity that cannot be reached while distracted. Growth occurs when your attention no longer depends on the outside world for direction. Redirecting focus inward also means letting go of the need to control everything. When you observe instead of resist, your mind relaxes. You do not fight emotion, you watch it. You do not force clarity, you allow it to form. You understand that awareness is gentle, not forceful. It does not demand answers. It creates openness where answers naturally emerge. Control often creates tension, But awareness brings ease. You can track growth through honest self-reflection. At the end of each day, ask what choices today reflected the person I want to become, and which actions pulled me away from myself. You do not shame yourself for mistakes, you simply notice. Reflection turns experience into insight. You learn lessons faster when you review them with calm curiosity instead of self-attack. Growth becomes a conscious path instead of an accidental outcome. Redirection inward requires reducing distractions. Too much noise keeps your mind scattered. You cannot hear yourself clearly while constantly absorbing information. Create moments free from social media, news, or external voices. Silence sharpens awareness. Space deepens understanding. Stillness strengthens intuition. What you discover in quiet may surprise you because it shows truths drowned out by noise. Self-awareness also teaches you how to respond to life. Instead of reacting blindly, when you know your patterns, you stop repeating them automatically. You pause, reflect, and choose. You gain control over emotional impulses because you see them before they take over. You adjust behavior in real time. You become mindful instead of reactive. Growth becomes intentional. Directing focus inward helps you recognize what you need, not what the world demands. You learn when you require rest, when you need connection, when solitude is healing, and when action is necessary. You become your own guide. You stop seeking instruction for every step because your inner awareness leads you naturally. The more you trust this guidance, the stronger it becomes. Quiet self-awareness nurtures resilience. You remain centered even when external situations shift. You no longer lose your identity in chaos. You understand where your emotional boundaries stand. You know how to return to calm without waiting for external circumstances to change. The strength you build inside creates stability outside. You become less influenced by temporary emotion and more aligned with lasting clarity. Growth from within leads to deeper relationships. When you understand yourself, you communicate better. You express needs instead of expecting others to guess. You listen carefully because you are not distracted by internal tension. You respond thoughtfully instead of defensively. Better relationships come not from fixing others, but from knowing yourself. Awareness improves connection. Redirect focus inward and grow through quiet self-awareness means nurturing a life rooted in presence, understanding, and emotional clarity. You move from distraction to depth, from reaction to reflection, from noise to stillness. Inner focus does not isolate you from the world. It helps you meet the world with more wisdom and peace. You become someone who understands their motivations, speaks truthfully, and moves with purpose. You do not need grand transformation to grow. You need consistent awareness of who you are and who you are becoming. Every moment of quiet reflection expands self-understanding. Every decision made from awareness builds character. Every realization unlocks growth. You evolve not through effort alone, but through seeing yourself clearly. This chapter reminds you that the most important work happens inside. You learn to stay present within yourself. You strengthen awareness through quiet moments. You redirect attention from distractions to your inner world. You grow in ways that others may not see immediately, but you feel deeply. With time, your mind becomes calmer, your heart more grounded, and your life more aligned with your true self. Chapter 8. Practice letting go daily and stand strong in yourself. Practice letting go daily and stand strong in yourself means releasing what no longer supports your growth and choosing inner stability over emotional attachment. Letting go is not a single decision, but a continuous habit you build through awareness and acceptance. Many people carry pain long after the moment has passed because they hold on to expectations, memories, and people who no longer fit their lives. They replay conversations in their mind, wish certain outcomes had turned out differently, and cling to what has already ended. Holding on feels familiar even when it hurts. Letting go is the act of freeing yourself from that weight so you can move forward with strength instead of struggle. Letting go is not forget, it is honoring the experience while releasing the need to control it now. You learn from it and then loosen your grip. You stop reopening old wounds by revisiting them. You stop waiting for closure from someone who never offered it. You stop seeking answers that may never come. You give yourself permission to heal without needing the past to change. This is how you stand strong in yourself. You rely on your own acceptance, not external resolution. Daily practice is essential because letting go is a slow unbuilding of emotional habits. Some days you feel free, other days the memory returns with intensity. Instead of fighting the feeling, you allow it to pass through, you acknowledge it and release it again. You do this as many times as necessary. Letting go is not failure when repeated. Each release makes the mind lighter. Each release disconnects attachment more. Each release strengthens you. Standing strong means trusting that you can handle life without holding on to things that weaken your foundation. You stop chasing those who do not choose you. You stop trying to convince others of your worth. You stop waiting for perfection before moving forward. Strength develops when you choose yourself, even when old patterns tempt you. You become anchored inside rather than tied to external outcomes. You do not collapse when something leaves your life, you adjust. You continue, you grow. Letting go daily means noticing when the mind drifts into what was instead of what is. When you catch yourself repeating old stories, bring your attention back to the present moment. The present is the only place where change can happen. The past is fixed. The future is imagination. Strength exists now in your awareness and your choices. If a memory arises, you do not engage with it. You breathe and release. You remind yourself that you cannot rewrite history, but you can rewrite who you become because of it. Standing strong in yourself requires emotional acceptance. Not everything will make sense. Not everyone will stay. Not every dream will unfold as expected. You release disappointment without bitterness. You release people without hatred. You release expectations without grief. Letting go removes resistance from your path. Every time you surrender what is out of your control, you protect your peace. You save energy for what is aligned with your growth. Independence grows when you stop clinging to things outside your authority. You cannot force someone to understand you. You cannot make someone love you correctly. You cannot hold on to situations meant to evolve. You honor what happened, but you move forward. You learn to thank the experience for what it taught you. Even pain brings lessons. Even loss opens space. Even endings create direction. Standing strong means trusting that life continues to expand, even when parts of it fall away. Letting go becomes easier when you shift focus from what you lost to what you are gaining. You gain clarity. You gain self-respect. You gain emotional space. You gain possibility. Many cling because they fear emptiness after release. But emptiness is not ruin. It is preparation for growth. It is a space waiting to be filled with something healthier. You are not meant to carry everything with you. Growth requires shedding. Peace requires space. Strength requires release. Releasing attachment also means forgiving yourself for choices you made before you knew better. Self-blame chains the mind to regret. Reflection is useful, but punishment keeps you stuck. Forgive your past reactions. Forgive your younger self, who acted through pain or confusion. Forgive the times you stayed longer than you should have. Forgive the moments you accepted less than you deserved. The person you were then was learning. The person you are now is evolving. Let go of self-criticism. Stand firm in who you are becoming. Practicing letting go daily may mean stepping away from habits that drain you. You might release routines that waste time or relationships built on obligation rather than connection. You might distance yourself from environments that harm your emotional balance. Letting go is not only about people or memories, it also includes beliefs that limit you, such as I must be liked by everyone, or I cannot succeed alone, or I need permission to change. These beliefs keep you small. Releasing them widens possibility. Strength shows not through hardness but through grounded presence. You stand strong in yourself when you no longer need external permission to feel stable. You make decisions from self-knowledge. You hold boundaries with confidence. You do not react to every trigger. You do not crumble when someone disapproves. You remain aligned when life shifts. This steadiness grows when you refuse to cling to unstable things. You become your own foundation. Letting go is easier when you practice acceptance rather than resistance. Resistance says, I wish this were different. Acceptance says it already happened and I can grow forward. Acceptance does not mean you agree with the pain, it means you are done reliving it. The moment you choose acceptance, the mind relaxes, peace enters, you no longer battle the past. You recognize that continuation is possible. You rise from what hurt you without becoming hardened by it. Standing strong means believing that you deserve peace even when chaos is familiar. Many stay in discomfort because comfort exists in repetition. But repeating pain is not safety, it is stagnation. Strength is stepping into discomfort temporarily to build a better life long term. Letting go may feel painful, but the alternative is remaining where you do not belong. Choose the path that leads to peace, even if it requires courage. First, daily release becomes a ritual. You wake up and let go of yesterday. You move through the day and let go of frustration as it appears. You end the night by releasing what cannot be carried into tomorrow. Every day the load becomes lighter. You stand taller, you breathe deeper, you think clearer. You break the cycle of emotional overcrowding. You must also let go of outcomes you try to force. Control creates tension because life does not always move according to plan. You try your best, then allow events to unfold. You stop clinging to perfect timing. You stop obsessing over results. You focus on effort, intention, and presence. The rest belongs to time. Strength lies in release, not in forced practice. Letting go daily and stand strong in yourself means building emotional freedom piece by piece. You release what weighs you down and reinforce what lifts you. You understand that holding hurts more than releasing. You realize that standing alone does not mean being lost. It means standing centered and self-rooted. Your worth remains solid even when circumstances change. You are not defined by who leaves or what ends. You are defined by how you rise in yourself. Letting go is a lifelong practice. It is a gentle daily reminder to choose peace over attachment, clarity over confusion, and forward movement over stagnation. You will change as you release. You will grow as you stand. You will step into a stronger version of yourself with each layer you shed. This chapter is your invitation to release deliberately, not once but continuously. You breathe out the past. You breathe in the present. You stop gripping what hurt you. You stop waiting for closure. You stop holding your growth hostage to old emotions. You walk forward with a calm heart and grounded mind. You stand firm from within. Chapter 9. Replace old habits with healthy routines that support clarity. Replace old habits with healthy routines that support clarity means rebuilding your life from the inside out through daily actions that strengthen your mind instead of clouding it. Old habits often develop unconsciously through repetition and emotional comfort. They may feel familiar, but they rarely guide you toward growth. You might wake up and scroll through your phone before breathing deeply. You might procrastinate instead of taking one small step toward progress. You might ignore your needs because routine feels easier than change. These patterns seem harmless, but they shape the quality of your inner world. Clarity requires intentional living. You remove habits that blur your focus and replace them with behaviors that nourish discipline, reflection, and purpose. Change begins when you recognize habits that work against mental clarity. Notice what drains your energy or creates confusion. It may be staying up late for no reason, eating without mindfulness, engaging in endless distraction, or allowing clutter to fill your environment. It may be saying yes to everything or avoiding important tasks. Old habits persist because they require no effort. Healthy habits take commitment and patience. Clarity grows when you choose the harder path consistently. To replace old habits with new ones, you must start small. A single shift done daily can create transformation. Wake up with intention instead of reacting to notifications. Spend a few silent moments setting the tone for your mind. Drink water before anything else. Move your body, even lightly, to activate energy. When habits are simple, they are sustainable. You do not need a dramatic lifestyle overhaul. You need steady repetition that strengthens discipline. Healthy routines must align with who you want to become. If you desire calmness, practice slow breathing. If you want better focus, create structured work periods without distraction. If you want emotional balance, journal your thoughts instead of suppressing them. Your routines should reflect your priorities, not your impulses. Old habits survive when life runs on autopilot. Clarity grows when every day contains conscious action. Replacing habits also means reducing behaviors that create mental noise. Multitasking scatters attention. Constant checking of messages fragments thought. Surrounding yourself with chaos steals clarity. Develop routines that simplify life instead of complicating it. Clean your environment regularly. Organize your schedule. Practice single focus. When your surroundings are clear, your mind becomes lighter. When your commitments are structured, decisions become easier. Nutrition, rest, and physical care directly influence mental clarity. Poor sleep clouds judgment. Lack of movement reduces energy. Unbalanced eating affects mood. Create routines that support the body so the mind can think clearly. Sleep at a consistent time. Eat foods that fuel rather than drain. Stretch or walk daily. These habits seem simple, but they hold significant power. A tired mind struggles to grow. A nourished mind thrives. Replacing habits requires self-accountability. You must notice when you slip into old patterns and redirect without shame. Progress is not always linear. Some days will move smoothly, while others require stronger discipline. When you catch yourself falling back into unhelpful routines, pause and choose differently. Every redirection strengthens your new identity. You do not fail when you slip. You fail only when you stop trying. Clarity also comes through mental hygiene. If you feed your mind negativity, it becomes difficult to think constructively. Reduce exposure to toxic conversations and low-value content. Replace gossip or complaining with reflection or learning. Read more instead of scrolling endlessly. Your mind becomes sharper when you give it thoughtful input. Growth comes from what you repeatedly consume. Journaling is a powerful routine for clarity. Writing your thoughts helps you understand patterns you may overlook. Instead of letting emotions swirl inside your mind, you place them on paper where they become visible. You can see what needs to change and what deserves to stay. Journaling also allows you to track progress. Over time, you notice how your thinking evolves. Awareness expands. Meditation or stillness breaks the cycle of constant stimulation. Even a few minutes of quiet breathing can clear emotional fog. Sit without distraction. Observe thoughts instead of chasing them. Let the mind slow. This routine builds emotional stability. You respond to life more thoughtfully when your mind is centered. Clarity grows in the pause between thought and reaction. Replacing habits also means introducing purpose into your day. Create a daily routine that supports who you want to become. Set time for learning something new. Practice gratitude each morning or evening. Reflect on your actions and feelings. Choose goals and follow them with steady effort. Purposeful habits shape identity. Over time, you transform into someone who acts from intention rather than impulse. Healthy routines require boundaries. If your day is open to interruption, you lose clarity. Set times for work, rest, and personal growth. Protect your schedule. Declutter commitments that do not align with your values. When you control your time, your mind relaxes. Boundaries create clarity. They help you stay focused on what matters most. It is also essential to replace emotional habits. Instead of reacting when frustrated, practice calm breathing. Instead of overthinking, practice grounding thoughts. Instead of self-criticism, practice encouragement. Emotional reflexes can become habits too. Replacing them creates stability. You nurture inner strength through gentle repetition. You will notice changes gradually. Your thoughts become clearer. Your decisions come easier. Your days feel lighter because routine anchors you. You stop rushing. You stop wasting energy on distraction. You act with purpose. Small habits build strong foundations. Consistency shapes clarity. With time, these habits form a new identity. You become someone who chooses growth automatically. You wake with intention. You move with direction. You treat yourself with care. You do not return to old patterns because they no longer match who you are. Clarity becomes natural, not forced. Replace old habits with healthy routines that support clarity is a lifelong practice. You will evolve, and your routines will evolve with you. As you grow, your needs change, and your habits should reflect that. Continue evaluating what serves you and what does not. Release patterns that dim your mind. Strengthen routines that elevate it. Discipline becomes freedom. Structure becomes peace. Clarity becomes your baseline. Your life transforms not through one grand shift, but through many small steps repeated daily. Every new habit shapes a clearer future. Every old habit released removes weight from the mind. Your focus sharpens. Your confidence rises. You no longer move blindly through life. You think, decide, act, reflect. You replace patterns that once limited you with routines that build strength from within. This chapter reminds you that clarity is created. It does not arrive on its own. You choose it through routine. You maintain it through discipline. You nurture it through reflection. With each day you replace old habits with healthier ones. You build a stronger mind and a calmer life. Chapter 10. Claim your power back and live with confident independence. Claim your power back and live with confident independence means returning to yourself fully after years of giving too much of your strength to situations, people, expectations, or fear. When you reclaim your power, you stop waiting for permission to live the life you want. You stop relying on others to decide your direction. You stop shrinking your voice to keep peace or approval. Confident independence does not mean isolation. It means knowing that you can stand tall without leaning on anyone to validate your existence. This chapter is a declaration that you are capable of directing your own steps and building a life grounded in clarity, courage, and self-trust. Power is lost when you silence yourself for acceptance or mold yourself for approval. You lose power when you ignore intuition to avoid conflict or remain small to maintain comfort. You reclaim it the moment you choose authenticity. Confident independence grows when you trust your decisions without needing a second opinion to feel secure. You begin to speak even when your voice trembles, because truth matters more than approval. You choose actions based on personal values instead of trying to please. Each decision rooted in self-trust returns power to your hands. To claim your power back, you must stop giving others control over your emotional weather. You do not allow someone's opinion to decide your worth or someone's absence to define your stability. Your confidence rises from within. You build strength through daily choices that align with who you want to be. Independence is not built through separation from people, but through connection with yourself. You no longer crumble when faced with difficulty because you know you can support yourself through it. Confident independence begins with responsibility. You own your behavior, choices, and outcomes. When things go wrong, you do not look for someone to blame. You reflect, adjust, and move forward. Responsibility is empowering because it places control in your hands. You stop waiting and start creating. You stop hoping someone will save you and realize you can save yourself. Self-leadership becomes your core. To live with independence, you must listen to your inner voice more than external noise. Everyone has opinions about how you should live, but only you face the consequences of your choices. You cannot build your life through someone else's blueprint. You must create your own. When you follow intuition, you stop feeling lost. Your decisions come from clarity rather than confusion. You begin to move with direction instead of drifting through influence. Claiming your power back means releasing fear of being misunderstood. Not everyone will agree with your choices. Not everyone will support your growth. You do not require universal approval to live freely. Confidence blooms when you allow others to think what they want, while you continue moving forward. Independence allows you to stand comfortably in difference. You are not defined by opinions or shaped by judgment. You remain rooted in your own understanding. You strengthen your independence through consistent self-investment. Read often to expand the mind. Learn skills that increase confidence. Spend time alone in reflection. Build routines that develop resilience and emotional balance. Each investment makes you less dependent on external support because you cultivate inner resources. You do not fear standing alone because you know how to hold yourself. Power returns when you stop settling. If a relationship drains more than it nourishes you, distance yourself. If an environment suffocates growth, you move toward new ground. If a belief limits vision, you replace it with one that lifts you. Settling steals ambition. Independence requires choosing better even when comfort tries to hold you. You do not accept less than you deserve. You do not negotiate your value. You stand firm in your standards. Confident independence also means speaking your needs without guilt. You do not apologize for wanting respect, time, affection, or understanding. You communicate clearly and hold boundaries when ignored. Power dissolves when you remain silent to avoid reaction. You reclaim it when you express truth calmly and consistently. You no longer force anyone to value you. You value yourself and let actions reflect that. You live with power when you stop waiting for motivation to move. You act from discipline. You progress through consistency. You do not rely on perfect conditions because you know clarity grows through movement. You start tasks before fear convinces you not to. You show up even when tired. You push through discomfort because growth demands effort. The more you follow through on your own commitments, the more independent you become. Confidence is built through evidence. Every time you promise yourself something and complete it, you increase trust in yourself. Every time you take responsibility instead of making excuses, you strengthen identity. You grow through proof, not through wishful thinking. When you see yourself accomplishing goals, you no longer doubt your ability. You rely on your own reliability. To claim your power back, you must also detach from outcomes. You give your best without tying self-worth to results. Sometimes a project succeeds, sometimes it does not. Your value does not change. Confident independence means knowing that failure does not define you, it guides you. You learn, adapt, and keep moving. You do not quit because something did not work once. You try again with wisdom. You also become more selective with where you place your energy. Instead of trying to fix everything or everyone, you focus on what you can control. You do not involve yourself in chaos or conflict that does not belong to you. Your time becomes valuable. Your attention becomes sacred. Independence grows when you stop scattering energy and start directing it. Standing strong in yourself means honoring your emotions without letting them command you. You experience sadness without collapsing into despair. You feel fear without stopping progress. You acknowledge disappointment without losing vision. You learn to stand even when the ground shakes. You witness emotion and respond with wisdom. Stability begins when you remain steady inside yourself. To live with confident independence, you must practice self-approval. You tell yourself you are capable. You acknowledge your effort. You recognize your growth. You encourage yourself daily. You stop waiting for someone to notice your progress. You know your own milestones. You become your source of motivation, support, and reassurance. When you validate yourself, no one can take that confidence away. Claiming your power back means understanding that you are responsible for creating your future. You are not held hostage by the past. You are not limited by fear unless you allow it. You can rise, rebuild, redirect, and reinvent. You can walk away from what limits you and walk toward what strengthens you. Independence is born through choice, not circumstance. Every day you practice standing in yourself, you grow stronger. You speak clearly, you think deeper, you move with purpose, you live with intention. Confidence no longer feels forced. It becomes natural because it is built on evidence, self-trust, and aligned action. You no longer chase security in others because you carry it within you. This chapter is your final step into the life you are capable of living. You claim your power not by force but through self-leadership. You stand independent, not through isolation but through inner strength. You move forward not through fear but through clarity. You build a life shaped by choice. You live rooted in confidence that does not collapse under pressure. Claim your power back and live with confident independence means walking into the world with a steady heart, clear mind, and unwavering belief in your ability to guide your own life. You no longer wait to be chosen. You choose yourself. You no longer try to fit into spaces that shrink you. You build spaces that reflect the person you are becoming. You no longer depend on approval to feel whole. You already are whole, and now you live like you know it,